There's a lovely hum of the fluorescent lights, and I need to switch out to LEDs, but here is where we're going to be at for a little while. Welcome to my garage at my new place. It's alright, it'll do the job. I got the car towed down without any incident, although checking on it afterwards, it looked like maybe it could have gone wrong if it was a longer trip. Anyway, you might be wondering what the heck that intro had to do with this episode. It was the biggest intro, or the most involved intro that I've done to date. And what the hell was it all for? Well, it was for literally the smallest, size-wise, project that I have done on this car. Smaller even than the golf club engine prop lid. These guys. Can you even see them? When I got the car, the owner gave me, well, the daughter of the owner gave me these keys saying, oh yeah, they go to the car. And put them in the doors, nothing happened. Put this one in the ignition, nothing happened. Everything seemed like it sort of fit, but nothing worked. And I was like, are these even the right damn keys for this car? And they were. It's just that the lock sets on both the doors and the ignition were so corroded and worn out that I had to rebuild them. And I wasn't going to rebuild them immediately. However, I made some friends on the forums. And one of them is a guy, I guess his handle is Think Jedi. And he's actually pretty close to me out in Seaside. And he was almost finished with his car, and he had the same problem. His lock sets on his doors wouldn't function. And he had soaked them in evapor rust, which, by the way, that is brilliant stuff. But still, they weren't functioning for him. And he had tried to kind of disassemble them, and it was starting to go bad. And so I told him that I would take a shot at figuring them out, and I did, and I rebuilt them so that they were completely functional, and he was really happy about it, and he said, you know, you should do a video on that. And I was like, well, I guess I could do mine. It wasn't what I was wanting to do, but it was something that needed to be done. I did some research, and you just can't buy these anymore. I don't know. Maybe you could find something that would be a substitute. I thought perhaps maybe some Mini Cooper lock cylinder barrels would swap out, but they would require some machining. But it just turns out that these are a really kind of baffling little plastic puzzle, which is what I find the Rubik's Cube to be. Because to date, I have never solved one, not even accidentally, and I really just can't, waste enough time trying to figure out the right moves to figure it out. So I'd rather spend my brain power on stuff like this than a Rubik's Cube. And on this, which we'll cut to, and you can see me disassembling and reassembling these after I fix them. Alright, so what we have here is a lock cylinder barrel, very rusty, so I pulled it out of the car, and yeah, pretty scabby. Those pins here are all rusted,
and locked into place. They will not move if you put the key in. And yeah, looks like it needs some work. Needs to go into a dip in the evaporust bath. This is one that was in the evaporust bath for a little bit, I think maybe a day or two. It's looking a lot better. Some of these pins or the slides or whatever are actually moving, uh, but some of them aren't. They're very stiff still inside, so obviously the evaporust didn't take care of all of it. So that's why we're going to get into that today. The first pin or the slide in it did pop out, and I kind of cleaned that up, and that's kind of what they look like when they're not all rusty. But it is pitted. Right next to this is a little stainless spring that supports this slide and allows it to pop up and down. And you can see on the penny it's about the size of the Liberty script on a penny, so pretty damn small. That's where it came out, and so we need to access it. There's we got to pull off this little stainless weather faceplate, whatever it is. Yeah, it just protects everything, and it's really pretty strong on this. Trying to bend these tabs is not easy, even them being so damn tiny. So a little bit of work and working it slowly out, and should free it up. And yeah, it's a little difficult to try and do this close to the camera while, while trying to show all this stuff off. A little awkward, but I believe I got it. So popping this off, and really reveals yeah. So it's in pretty good condition, a little dirty on that faceplate behind there. The little weather slide is jammed jammed open, not protecting the barrel at all. So that's the little slide that is supposed to cover that big vertical hole. This is one of the springs. There should be two springs in here, but yeah, these springs are not made out of stainless, and they do corrode and basically fall apart into nothing and don't help anybody. So anyway, we're going to get rid of those, clean that up, and clean up some of this sand from 40 years ago or whatever, and try to disassemble this cylinder, or barrel, I guess it might be called. Alright, so I guess I was kind of poking at this like a monkey a little bit, trying to see if I could, how it all came apart. It's been like a couple of months since I did the last cylinder barrels for my buddy, so yeah, you kind of forget how it all comes apart. I'm not going to start throwing my poo at it, but it is a little frustrating. So yeah, so if you look in there, there's this pin that holds all these slides captive. And that guy needs to be brought out a little bit so I can grab a hold of it. There it goes all the way up into the body of the barrel. And we need to pry it out a little bit so I can grab it with some needle nose pliers and draw the rest of the way out so I can free up these slides and pull them out. So I got a really small woodworking chisel. It's got a nice sharp edge on it to kind of bite into some of that steel on that pin. And it's not a super tight interference fit on that pin, but it is in there, and especially with corrosion too. It makes it even that much more difficult to remove. Okay, on this part, it's all sped up because I was essentially doing this wrong. I was pushing out these slides trying to force them out of the way so I could pry the pin out, and that wasn't very successful at all, and I was mangling springs. But these little springs, even though they're stainless, they do stick to magnets, so that does help here. But yeah, this was not the right way to do it. I do this a second time later on for the other barrel, and I do it a lot better. So that's it. You can kind of see it's poking out a little bit there. There it goes. It's almost like pulling a sliver out of your finger. Just want to get a little bit out of there. Oh, there it goes, right there, easy. And you can see it's a little bit corroded. And, it was successful pulling it apart like this, but I had to straighten springs and do other things. So it worked, but it wasn't the best way to do it. Yeah, again, later on, it's better. This is what a rusty slide looks like. That's what a clean slide looks like. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And there's also, at the very back, the last slide has this weird little plastic slide also that it mates with, and it's just, I don't understand its purpose exactly. And yeah, there's the pin. You can see a little bit of striations of corrosions on it. Parts of it are very clean, so go figure. I think that was fairly easily. All right. So here we are. I use a whetstone in this instance to clean off these slides. It's just a very solid thing to kind of press against. You could absolutely use just some sandpaper too, and clean the corrosion off the slides. Whetstone just is not very aggressive as far as that. It's easy to press up against it and lube it with some oil too to get stuff clean. And it's fairly quickly. So here we are with some evaporust. This is the used stuff from the first one. This is the second barrel. I'm going to put that in there and leave it in there for I think it's a good long time. I left it in there for probably 4 or 5 days.
Okay. Alright, so here we are back at the wonderful OK Corral. Yeah, so these guys are all clean. This guy's all empty and clean as it can be. And this is sort of bent back. I don't know. We're just gonna give this a shot. Alright, so it's been quite a little while since I was messing about with this. There's that guy. We have a little bunch of springs in here, so that'll be for later, but not too much later. I was able to repair these springs that were a little kinked when I was removing them, so I got them all straight again, which is great. So that's all good. All right, so from front to back, we're gonna put these guys back in. And it's fairly apparent how they go back in if you observe how they came out. Alright, so all these are in. We can take the key or whatever and do that. Well, like that. That's exactly how we want it to be. If I take the key out, they're all just going to fall out. So, anywho, it is time to put springs back in these. Right, so. Alright, so this last one is a little bit of a cluster delay because the bottom likes to go like that. The plastic one goes in first. Spring goes in on top of that. And I believe this is how it goes. Yeah, so. And let's check our work by putting the key in. Everything seems to be pretty happy. That last one, a little nutty. Do that again. Yeah, where are you going there, pal? That one seems a little. Okay, it's probably fine. Alright, at this point, we have our little pin, and you can see where that originally went in. Back. And slide Mr. Pin back home, and he's back home. Alright, so that pin went in very nice and easy. Nothing has been lubed, so key goes in and everything is locked. Key comes out and whatever. It's how it should function. Everything moves very nice and smoothly. But we are going to put oil in there just to increase that. So now we have to deal with the front of this guy. And this is the little dust slide or whatever the hell it is. And it slides back and forth, and there should be two springs there. There was only one spring. I think that was up here. Because the other one had completely rotted away. So I gotta go into my little pile of motorcycle springs, because I've taken apart a lot of motorcycle ignitions over the years. Yeah, well, no, these are all the key slides. Oh, there they are. And you know, Japanese ones are different for motorcycles because they're made of brass and they don't rust. So Yay for the Japanese, but none of these fit this style of finger puzzle. But in this guy, I've got a nice little rat's nest of ignition or keyway springs. And they're a little bit larger than the ones that fit inside this barrel, but they're appropriately sized for this guy. Wow, can't believe I actually popped that sucker on. And nothing sprung down to place, well, that I know of. So let's try that again. Okay, well, everything seems to be a-okay with that. At this point, it's probably prudent to bend back some tabs so we can go forward, not backward, upwards, not forwards, and twirling, always twirling towards freedom. Huh, Jeebus. Well, that was like a little bit of a faff. But we do have a functioning lock cylinder again. Now I've got one more to do. This one, I did let this one soak for a really long time in that rust stuff, and it does kind of work. It's not easy to get the key out. Maybe it would just over time kind of start working. I don't know, this first slide is still really stiff. It's just one of these things like, oh, do I do a bunch of work or do you want to just move on? A lot of people would just want to move on since you got most of the functionality back, but I know there's still a bunch of rust in there because it's starting to come down, rain down on my piece of paper here. Alright, so let us take some of these guys and get them the heck out of here, and we'll save some short suckers for later because we will probably need those. And in a pinch, you can use some of these larger springs for some of the slides if you do absolutely lose some of those really tiny springs. But it does require drilling out the barrel a little bit. Get in there, you. All right. Okay. So we're going to try this again on this guy. Should be easier, right? It's yeah, we'll see. Alright, so let's see if we can get this guy separated easily. And I'm doing this because I just can't help myself, honestly. I'm curious as to what's in here. Oh, wow. Oh, check that out. So, we do have the springs intact on this one. I don't know if they will stay intact when I go to remove the stuff, but let's take that out. Okay, there's that. And wow. That guy and that guy and parts of them. Sorry. You really can't see stuff that is out of the frame of the camera. So, yeah, these are kind of in parts. Let's see where. Grab this with a. Well, I mean, they sort of are holding a vestigial existence. Whatever. So, kind of the same routine as before. I don't know if it'll help to see all this stuff. I'm just going to put this stuff off to the side as the kitty cat tries to get an animal from outside at night. All right. Yeah, I believe these log sets are just meant to go in once and never be disassembled. Well, that one wasn't too bad as far as getting this pin to a certain point where we can grab it. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay. It's like I somehow know what I'm doing. But I don't. I never know what I'm doing. Okay. So we're going to bring back our little numbered piece of paper. And from front to back, we're going to press out. Or back to front. I don't know. Let's see what comes out. All right. That was the first one. That was the really rusty guy. Yeah, you can see it's brown. It's blurry and brown. All right, so 2, 3, 4. Hello, Mr. Spring.
another spring. Three other little springs. Pin, and this last guy. These last guys are always a little weird how they kind of come out. Okay. That guy, miniature spring. That little kind of gross plasticky thing. Wow. Okay, so here we are. We're going to put these little spring guys into a safe place, because they're the hard ones to replace at this point. And just put all the big ones in there too. What the hell? It's just sort of a big spring-o-rama. All right. So. All right. So now let's clean up. All right, so we're going to just steamroll ahead with this stuff, because figure what the heck, why not? It's doing this in real time. Clean off all the old dried on grease. Right, and then this guy. Scrape some of that corrosion off. It's not really doing anything but keeping the keys, or keeping the pins captive, so it doesn't really wear much. Alright. Alright, so we're going to take tweezers and try and lose a spring. Let's not do that, and let's pull a cat hair out from it. I do love the kitty cats, but they do drop a lot of hair. That's one. Two. Two. Three. Three. It's probably a good idea not to trim your nails if you're gonna try and attempt this. Four.
5. And 6. Oh, we gotta put the plastic guy in there. Put that guy there. 6. And 6. Right. Well, that's everybody. Let's make sure the key works. All right, so that works. And slide the pin home. Back together. And just try it again. Yay. Functional. All right, so take this guy, put him there. Take some newer springs. Oh, Carolyn, you have to call me when I'm doing this. All right, so I had it on, and I'm going to tempt fate by trying to do that. Okay, it works. All right, excellent. So now I'm going to bend back some tabs. Careful. Align a little bit. One. Alright, come on, you mofo. Alright, well, son of a bitch. I have beaten the Rubik's Cube record. Twice. Alright. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys on the flip side. But yeah, now, you know, they work exactly like brand new. And so I can reinstall them, but none of these doors, because these doors suck. And they, I mean, they're functional. They're a placeholder for the car at the moment. But yeah, they're too rusty. So yeah, let me show you what other things I've been doing in the meantime, not working on the engine more, the body work more. I've just tried out some of these Yamaha motorcycle mirrors onto the doors, and I kind of dig them. They're a convex lens, so you get a nice, you know, wide view. The whole, you know, objects in the mirror are smaller than they are, larger than they appear. So you have a broad field of vision with these guys. And I like the kind of the light look of them. Let's take a closer look at these lights. And they just, they kind of match up to the lines of the car. Not too shabby. So, I mean, I'm not completely 100% married to them. My wife thinks that I should do something else, but, until that happens, we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so I got a right and left hand side, and yeah, and I also gutted the interior. Do we have light? We have more light. I think we need some more light. All right. So yeah, I took out the rest of the HVAC unit in the center, and along with that, the brake and clutch metal lines that ran to that kind of little oblong hole there, all along the central tunnel to the very front, and then out through that kind of that horizontal hole, and then wrapped around to the it's attached to the steering column, and that is what the master cylinders for the clutch and brake are located. And that's just another, just kind of a wonderful thing that is, a little bit complicating about this car is they made this car so freaking light, partly because they designed systems that overlapped as far as their purposes. This steering support doubles as a pedal assembly, just like the rear cross member doubles as part of the suspension pickup points and the sway bar mount. So as far as that kind of philosophy goes, I think it's brilliant. It's not easy to be able to take stuff apart, if you have just like one item that breaks and is needs to be replaced. So you have to like kind of take apart an assembly of stuff. So that's not as easy, but as far as doing more with less, I think it's pretty brilliant. Yeah, the engine is still poking its way through the firewall. I've been developing some plans for that, and I've been taking off the roof trim stuff, and also the window trim. There was like some there was a window here, and there was like some old 1970s plastic trim going around this, which was a huge pain to remove because they use butyl rubber stuff, the stuff that most windshields are adhered to cars with, and that is super strong and super tenacious. And so it took a long time to get that stuff to let go. Let's see, underneath the car, I've been looking at how to do the exhaust system. I've been noodling that a little bit. Oh, and also, before I forget, for the rest of you guys who have kind of projects like this, I needed some dollies, and the dolly that I made the engine cradle out of would have worked, But Harbor Freight, and I went down, Harbor Freight has these really small, just like mini dollies. And of course they're the price of the old bigger ones, like $7 or $8, but you know, with a coupon, it's pretty reasonable. And each one is rated for 1,000 pounds, and they're a damn sight cheaper than the actual, you know, automotive wheel dollies. And I'm just gonna show you. I mean, for those of us who are working on, like, you know, Lancia Scorpions, which there might not be that many of us, but there are also those of us who are working on like Fiat X19s, which are just as light as this, and so yeah, so I have basically 4,000 pounds of support. And that's pretty damn easy peasy. So that's kind of what I've been up to. And I'm almost done working on this kitchen remodel at the old place. And yeah, I'm going to be able to spend more time on this after that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I haven't been around, but life's been crazy. I hope all of you guys are happy and healthy out there. And yeah, let's just try to be good people and pursue our passions.
You're feeling, Seymour!
And that's my darling. Anyway, thanks, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Seymour, you ain't no brain contest champion.